Beneath the sun-baked hills of Galilee, under layers of dust and centuries of silence, a secret has been quietly waiting to be discovered. What if the very ground beneath one of the most familiar names in human history, Nazareth, held truths that could reshape the stories we thought we knew? This is not merely an archaeological dig. It is a journey into memory, faith, and the fragile whispers of time itself. For centuries, Nazareth has been known as the childhood home of Jesus, a modest town tucked away in the hills, overlooked by empires, yet destined for eternal remembrance. Pilgrims have walked its streets for millennia, guided by scripture, tradition, and the hope of touching something holy. But the earth has its own stories, sometimes hidden far beneath the surface, waiting for those patient enough to uncover them. And now, recent excavations suggest that beneath Nazareth's familiar streets, beneath its modest homes and bustling markets, lie revelations that may astonish even the most devout scholars. Imagine standing on a quiet street in modern Nazareth, the midday sun warming the stone beneath your feet. The world hums around you with life, children laugh, vendors call out in the marketplace, and tourists snap photographs of ancient walls. Yet a few feet below, archaeologists are sifting through the soil layer by layer, unearthing remnants of a world that existed long before any of us walked these streets. Pottery shards, tools, and the foundations of homes tell stories not recorded in the pages of history. Some of these finds point to the daily lives of people who may have known, seen, or walked alongside the boy who would become Jesus. The ordinary details, bread ovens, water cisterns, stone stairways, speak volumes about the rhythm of life in this small village nearly 2,000 years ago. But there is more than just mundane artifacts. Among the discoveries are hidden spaces carved into the rock, secret chambers that may have been used for storage, worship, or perhaps even clandestine meetings. Some scholars suggest these could provide insight into early Jewish practices in Galilee, practices that shaped the spiritual landscape in which Jesus grew. The very architecture of these spaces, small, functional, yet intimate, offers a glimpse into a community that was both deeply religious and pragmatically grounded. Every stone, every fragment of pottery is a whisper from the past, and each whisper carries the weight of generations long gone. Consider for a moment the possibility that beneath the familiar streets of Nazareth, beneath the church spires and cobbled lanes, we are touching the echoes of daily life from the first century. These are not grand palaces or monuments of empire. They are humble homes, workshops, and cisterns carved from stone, yet they hold a power that can shake our understanding of history. For centuries, scholars have debated what Nazareth looked like in the time of Jesus. Written accounts are scarce. The Gospels themselves offer only glimpses, but the earth does not lie. Every layer of soil, every artifact, every fragment of wall is testimony to life as it truly was, gritty, sacred, and profoundly human. The discoveries challenge the way we think about Nazareth. They remind us that history is not only written in texts, but also inscribed in the land itself. The villagers of 2,000 years ago were not figures of legend. They were people who struggled, celebrated, and hoped, just as we do today. And in their daily lives, in the simple patterns of cooking, building, and worshipping, we may find a mirror for our own. The excavation work shows that even the smallest details, the placement of a stone, the size of a room, the residue of ancient fires, can illuminate the spiritual and cultural world that nurtured the boy from Nazareth. And yet, as the archaeologists dig deeper, questions emerge. Could these findings alter the traditional narratives? Could they reveal practices, structures, or communities previously unknown? Every brushstroke of dirt removed from the site uncovers more than just artifacts. It uncovers the potential for new understanding, for dialogue between history and faith. Some items uncovered are enigmatic: inscriptions on pottery, unusual layouts of ancient homes, and subterranean spaces that hint at ritual practices we are only beginning to understand. Scholars tread carefully, acknowledging that interpretation must balance evidence with humility. But the excitement is undeniable. Here, beneath the ordinary streets of a well-known town, lies the extraordinary, waiting to speak. As the sun sets over Nazareth, casting long shadows across its hills, one cannot help but wonder what other secrets remain buried, waiting for patient hands to reveal them. Archaeology is, in many ways, a conversation with the past, a delicate negotiation between what is discovered and what is imagined. Each find in Nazareth invites us to listen closely, to consider not only the historical facts, but the human stories behind them. And in doing so, we may begin to see Nazareth not just as a biblical location, but as a living testament to faith, perseverance, and the continuity of human life across centuries. And so, we are left with a profound question. Beneath the streets we walk today, beneath the churches, the marketplaces, and the homes, what other layers of history remain hidden, waiting to reveal truths about our past, our faith, and the life of the boy who would change the world? As you reflect on this, consider the fragile threads that connect us to those who walked these hills 2,000 years ago. And if this glimpse into ancient Nazareth stirs something within you, leave a word below so others may share in this wonder. The journey has only just begun. What lies beneath may challenge everything we think we know, and the next layer, the next discovery, may be closer than we imagine. The story beneath Nazareth begins not with grand palaces or monumental temples, but with the quiet persistence of everyday life. Archaeologists, trowel in hand, move slowly through layers of soil, revealing the architecture of a community that once thrived in obscurity. Each artifact they uncover is a voice from the past, speaking of people who lived, labored, and prayed in a time that has long since vanished. Some scholars suggest that these discoveries may illuminate aspects of first-century Galilean life that have remained hidden, adding texture and depth to the gospel narratives that have shaped faith for centuries. In one excavation area, a cluster of stone foundations has emerged, arranged in a pattern that hints at a small residential quarter. The walls are low yet sturdy, and in some places traces of plaster still cling to the rock, evidence that these homes were not mere shelters, but spaces of domestic care and attention. Inside, the archaeologists have found fragments of pottery, bowls, cooking pots, and storage jars. Each piece, though broken and worn, reveals details about diet, trade, and daily routine. Some shards bear the faint imprint of a maker's mark, suggesting that even in a remote village, craft and commerce carried importance. These simple objects, once ordinary, now carry extraordinary significance. Nearby, a series of subterranean chambers has been unearthed, hidden beneath the homes and streets of the town. These spaces, carved directly into the bedrock, vary in size and purpose. Some appear to have been cisterns, essential for collecting and storing the precious water of Galilee. Others may have served as storage rooms for grain or oil, while a few show traces of ritual use, perhaps early forms of worship or meditation. The precise function of each chamber remains a subject of careful study, but the pattern is clear. The people of Nazareth lived in harmony with the land, shaping it to meet their spiritual and physical needs. The discovery of these hidden spaces forces us to reconsider the environment in which Jesus grew up. The Gospels often present him moving among the crowds, teaching in synagogues and wandering the hills, but rarely do they describe the intimate spaces where he lived and played. These homes, kitchens, and chambers provide a rare glimpse into the intimate world of first-century Galilean life. Scholars speculate that in these narrow stone corridors, a young boy learned the rhythms of work, the value of community, and the quiet discipline that would later shape his ministry. Every artifact recovered, from a chipped cup to a worn threshold, carries the imprint of human presence and ordinary devotion. Among the most intriguing finds are inscriptions etched into stone, subtle markings that suggest a form of written communication previously unrecognized in Nazareth. Some inscriptions resemble tally marks, possibly used for record-keeping, while others bear symbols that hint at religious devotion. Scholars caution that interpretation must be careful. A single mark could be functional, decorative, or sacred. Yet the mere existence of these inscriptions reveals a literate culture that engaged with faith, commerce, and personal expression in ways more complex than previously assumed. It is a reminder that Nazareth, though small, was part of a wider network of Galilean villages, each contributing to the spiritual and cultural milieu of the region. The layout of the town itself offers insight into social structure and daily life. Streets were narrow, designed to follow the contours of the hills, with homes clustered closely together for warmth and protection. In some areas, archaeologists have uncovered public spaces, small courtyards where neighbors likely gathered to share news, labor, and celebration. Scholars suggest that these communal areas were essential for the cohesion of village life, places where values were transmitted, stories were told, and faith was enacted collectively. Within these modest settings, the rhythms of human experience, birth, work, celebration, mourning, unfolded quietly, shaping the culture that would later frame the ministry of Jesus. Yet, as the dig continues, one of the most remarkable discoveries has been a small stone structure partially hidden beneath layers of soil. Its purpose remains debated, but some scholars propose that it could have been a humble place of worship, predating larger, formal synagogues. The space is intimate, designed for a few to gather in prayer or meditation. If this interpretation holds, it suggests that spiritual life in Nazareth was deeply personal and communal at once, a faith practiced in the rhythm of daily life, rather than only in grand ceremonial spaces. For visitors and scholars alike, this find offers a tangible connection to the inner spiritual world of the village. Each new artifact, each carefully uncovered wall, contributes to a broader understanding of Nazareth, painting a vivid picture of a town both ordinary and extraordinary. We begin to see not just the outlines of buildings, but the texture of life. A mother tending her hearth, a carpenter shaping wood, a child running along narrow alleys. These discoveries humanize the distant past, revealing that history is not merely a series of events, but the lived experience of real people. And it is within this context, the quiet daily reality of first-century Nazareth, that the boy Jesus took his first steps, observed his community, and absorbed the values and practices that would later define his mission. Archaeology, in this sense, is more than science. It is storytelling with patience and reverence. Every trowel stroke, every careful brush of dust is an act of listening. The soil of Nazareth is not silent. It holds memory, testimony, and hope. As scholars continue their work, they are not merely uncovering artifacts, they are uncovering the human heart of a village that bore witness to extraordinary beginnings. These findings challenge us to imagine history not as abstract knowledge, but as lived experience, deeply rooted in ordinary lives and sacred practices. And so, the excavation beneath Nazareth continues to reveal layer upon layer of human presence, inviting reflection on the unseen stories that shape our understanding of faith and history. Each stone, each inscription, and each hidden chamber adds to a narrative that is both deeply personal and profoundly universal. If this glimpse into the hidden world of Nazareth inspires you, share your thoughts and reflections below. There are others walking this path of discovery who would value your voice. The story unfolds slowly, deliberately, reminding us that beneath every familiar place lies a deeper truth, waiting for those willing to look, listen, and wonder. As we continue to trace the layers of Nazareth, the discoveries beneath its streets invite us to reflect not only on history, but on our own lives. The lives of the villagers, etched into stone and soil, mirror the rhythms, struggles, and hopes that still define human existence today. Each artifact, the chipped pottery, the worn stairway, the hidden cistern, tells a story of resilience, faith, and ordinary courage. And in these stories, we find a reflection of our own spiritual and daily journeys. Consider the child who once ran through the narrow alleys, climbing over rocks, playing by the water cisterns, and helping in the family home. That child's world was simple, yet full of lessons. Lessons in diligence, in community, in understanding the sacred in everyday life. As we examine the foundations of these homes, we realize that greatness often emerges from the ordinary. The rhythm of daily chores, the dedication to family, the quiet moments of reflection and prayer, these small acts form the bedrock of character, faith, and enduring legacy. In Nazareth, it seems the extraordinary began in the ordinary, a truth that resonates across centuries. For modern viewers, the lesson is clear. We often underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. In a world that celebrates grandeur and immediacy, we can overlook the sacred in the mundane. Yet the discoveries in Nazareth remind us that every moment of devotion, every act of kindness, every effort to build, teach, or nurture matters. The villagers' lives, recorded not in scrolls, but in stone and soil, testify that faith and purpose are cultivated in quiet, persistent ways. We, too, are shaping the spiritual landscape of our communities with each decision, each interaction, and each act of integrity. The hidden chambers beneath Nazareth offer another reflection, the value of preparation and careful stewardship. Cisterns carved into rock were essential for survival, storing water to sustain families during dry seasons. Storage rooms protected grain and oil, ensuring nourishment and security. These structures required foresight, planning, and hard work, qualities that remain vital in our own lives. Just as the villagers built for tomorrow, we are called to invest in what endures: relationships, knowledge, moral integrity, and spiritual growth. It is in the careful tending of these elements that we discover purpose and resilience. Even the inscriptions etched into stone speak to us across time. Whether tally marks, symbols of devotion, or traces of communication, they demonstrate an intentionality and mindfulness that transcend centuries. In our modern lives, we often move too quickly, leaving little trace of thoughtfulness or reflection. Yet the ancients remind us that mindful action, whether through words, deeds, or faith practices, can ripple far beyond what we see. The markings in Nazareth endure because someone cared enough to leave a record, to leave a part of themselves in the world. We too have the opportunity to leave a lasting impact, not through fame, but through purpose, devotion, and love. The excavations also highlight the importance of community. The homes were clustered together, shared courtyards facilitated connection, and narrow streets brought neighbors into contact daily. Life in Nazareth was relational, interwoven with dependence and mutual support. In our own time, amid digital connectivity and urban isolation, this lesson is especially poignant. Spiritual and emotional growth flourishes when rooted in connection, when we invest in our families, our neighbors, and our communities. The past whispers to us that our bonds, our shared struggles and joys are as sacred as any monumental achievement. Reflecting on the hidden world of Nazareth, we can also draw inspiration from the persistence of discovery itself. Archaeologists patiently unearth layers of soil, revealing truths that have lain buried for millennia. Their work teaches us about patience, dedication, and the value of seeking truth. In life, we often face challenges that obscure clarity or understanding. Yet, just as each layer of dust yields insight, so too does perseverance uncover wisdom, revelation, and growth. The process may be slow, the progress incremental, but the results are profound. Every effort towards self-understanding, spiritual maturity, or moral courage matters. Moreover, the ordinary spaces, the homes, kitchens, and chambers, teach humility. In a world that prizes visibility and recognition, the village of Nazareth reminds us that significance is not always immediately apparent. True influence often begins quietly, in unnoticed places, through ordinary people living faithful lives. The boy who would become Jesus, raised in this environment, embodies the idea that small beginnings can yield eternal consequences. His life, nurtured in these modest streets and homes, demonstrates that destiny is often shaped by ordinary environments and humble practices. In reflecting on these lessons, we are invited to examine our own surroundings and routines. Are we mindful of the sacred in our daily life? Do we cultivate our communities, nurture our families, and invest in the spiritual practices that sustain us? The discoveries in Nazareth offer a mirror, showing that faith and purpose are inseparable from the small acts of everyday life. The boy of Nazareth learned, observed, and lived within this context, an ordinary world infused with extraordinary potential. As you consider the layers of history revealed beneath Nazareth, ask yourself what layers of your own life may hold untapped potential, faith, and meaning. What ordinary routines, relationships, or habits could, if tended with care, shape your future in ways both profound and lasting? And if these reflections resonate with you, share them below. Your words may illuminate the path for someone else, just as the earth beneath Nazareth illuminates the path of discovery for us all. In the quiet excavation of a village long past, we find guidance for the excavation of our own lives, patience, humility, care, and the understanding that ordinary actions are never wasted. Every effort, every small gesture is a stone laid in the foundation of enduring faith and character. The story beneath Nazareth is not only about what was found in the earth, but about what can be cultivated in our hearts, daily, quietly, persistently, and faithfully. Even as the earth yields its secrets beneath Nazareth, we are reminded that discovery is rarely without challenge. Every layer of soil, every artifact, every hidden chamber carries with it uncertainty, ambiguity, and the risk of misinterpretation. Archaeologists must wrestle with incomplete evidence, damaged artifacts, and the weight of centuries, much like we wrestle with the uncertainties of our own lives. In this way, the excavation becomes not just a search for history, but a mirror of the inner journey we all face, a test of patience, faith, and courage. The first obstacle is often doubt. How much can we truly know about Nazareth in the first century? The Gospels offer glimpses, but the material evidence is fragmentary. Pottery shards, stone walls, and cisterns tell us that people lived, worked, and prayed, but the details remain elusive. Scholars debate, sometimes fiercely, interpreting each finding in the context of broader historical and religious frameworks. For those who seek certainty, the process can be frustrating. And yet it is precisely this uncertainty that teaches an essential lesson. Faith and understanding are cultivated in the presence of questions, not in the absence of them. We encounter fear as well, though it is subtler. Fear of inadequacy, fear of misunderstanding, fear that our efforts to interpret the past, or even to live faithfully in the present, might be misguided. Archaeologists tread carefully, aware that their conclusions may be challenged. Likewise, we navigate our personal and spiritual lives with the knowledge that our choices have consequences, and yet outcomes are never fully predictable. It is a tension between striving and surrender, between curiosity and humility. Nazareth reminds us that even in a humble village, life was a delicate balance of courage and caution, of faith and perseverance. Resistance is another challenge. In excavating Nazareth, researchers often find spaces that resist explanation, chambers whose purpose is unclear, inscriptions whose meaning is debated, artifacts whose function is unknown. The earth itself seems to test the patience of those who seek understanding, offering partial glimpses but demanding careful interpretation. Similarly, in our own inner lives, we encounter moments that defy immediate clarity. Relationships, choices, and personal struggles often resist simple explanation or resolution. Yet the process of confronting these challenges, of sifting through complexity, embracing uncertainty, and remaining persistent, is where growth occurs. The physical labor of excavation mirrors the inner struggle. Each layer of soil must be carefully removed, each artifact gently lifted, lest history be damaged. It is painstaking work, demanding focus, precision, and patience. And in life, the path of faith and personal transformation is equally demanding. We must confront old patterns, unearth hidden truths, and sometimes carry burdens that are uncomfortable or heavy. Yet as the soil yields its secrets, we are reminded that perseverance brings reward. The unseen effort invested in discovery or in personal growth often produces insights and transformations far beyond what we initially imagined. Another inner battle lies in confronting the ordinary. The discoveries in Nazareth are not spectacular monuments, but humble homes, everyday tools, and secret chambers. The lesson is clear. Significance is often found in what seems mundane. Yet it is natural to resist this perspective. In a culture that prizes visibility, achievement, and grandeur, the quiet, unassuming life of first-century villagers may feel insufficiently inspiring. We struggle with the tension between longing for dramatic impact and recognizing the profound power of ordinary faithfulness. Yet the earth beneath Nazareth insists. Greatness often grows slowly in hidden spaces, nurtured by ordinary hands and ordinary hearts. Doubt, fear, and resistance are compounded by the challenge of interpretation. Every discovery prompts questions. What did this mean for the people who lived there? How did they perceive the sacred in their daily lives? How did the young boy, later known as Jesus, experience this world? There is no definitive answer, only careful inference, and the humility to acknowledge what remains unknown. In our own lives, we face a similar task, discerning meaning amid uncertainty, seeking clarity in the midst of confusion, and embracing the tension between what we know and what remains hidden. Yet, amid these obstacles, there is hope. The uncovering of Nazareth's hidden spaces reminds us that persistence, faith, and careful attention yield results. The walls of a long-forgotten home, the trace of an ancient hearth, the curve of a water cistern, all testify that the effort invested in seeking truth is never wasted. Our inner battles, though painful and difficult, also carry the potential for profound insight and transformation. Each struggle, like each layer of soil removed, reveals new possibilities and hidden strengths. Even the smallest discoveries can spark revelation. A shard of pottery might illuminate trade networks. A carved stone might hint at ritual practice. Similarly, in our lives, small breakthroughs, moments of honesty, acts of compassion, or insights gained through reflection can reshape our understanding and strengthen our character. The excavation teaches that patience and attention to detail, both in archaeology and in life, are essential for uncovering what truly matters. As we walk with the archaeologists through Nazareth, we witness not just the uncovering of physical artifacts, but the unfolding of human courage and resilience. The villagers of the first century faced hardships, limitations, and the ordinary trials of life, yet their legacy endures. Their struggles, hidden beneath centuries of earth, now speak to us across time, reminding us that every challenge we encounter, every doubt we face, and every fear we confront has the potential to deepen our understanding and strengthen our faith. If you feel the weight of your own doubts or resistance today, consider the lessons beneath Nazareth. Patience, persistence, and faithfulness in small, quiet acts can reveal profound truths. And if this reflection resonates, share your thoughts below. Your words may offer encouragement to someone wrestling with their own hidden layers. In the midst of obstacles, we are called to continue, to dig, to persevere, knowing that clarity, insight, and transformation are possible even when the path seems uncertain. Nazareth teaches that the hidden, the ordinary, and the challenging are all part of a sacred journey toward discovery and understanding. As the excavation beneath Nazareth advances, a transformation begins, not only in what we know of the town, but in how we perceive the world and our place within it. The hidden spaces, humble homes, and unassuming artifacts converge to reveal a vision of life both ordinary and sacred. In these discoveries, we glimpse the extraordinary potential within the ordinary, a lesson that resonates deeply for anyone seeking meaning, purpose, or faith in today's complex world. The moment of clarity comes gradually, as scholars and observers begin to connect the layers of evidence into a coherent narrative. The foundations of homes, the carefully carved cisterns, and the traces of daily life point to a community built on resilience, practicality, and devotion. Yet beneath this practical existence is something more profound, a spiritual and moral framework that shaped every action, every decision, and every interaction. In Nazareth, the sacred was not confined to grand temples or ceremonial rites. It was woven into the fabric of everyday life, evident in the placement of homes, the construction of workshops, and the care given to communal spaces. For the young boy who would become Jesus, this environment offered both stability and profound lessons. The narrow streets and clustered homes were not only a setting for play and learning, but also a crucible for character, observation, and empathy. The rhythms of work, family, and worship instilled a sense of responsibility and attentiveness. Scholars suggest that the lessons absorbed in these ordinary spaces were as formative as any theological teaching. In this vision, faith and practice are inseparable, cultivated in the repetition of daily acts, in service to neighbors, and in attention to the smallest details of life. The artifacts themselves illuminate the continuity between past and present. The pottery fragments, the stone thresholds, the hidden inscriptions, all are reminders that human beings, across time and culture, share common concerns: nourishment, shelter, connection, and spiritual expression. By studying the minutiae of life in first-century Nazareth, we are invited to see our own lives as part of a vast, ongoing story. Our daily choices, our routines, and our interactions are not insignificant. They shape the contours of our character and influence the communities we inhabit, just as the villagers of Nazareth shaped theirs. One striking vision emerges from the discovery of hidden chambers and secret spaces. Some may have been places of storage, but others hint at spiritual practice, spaces for reflection, meditation, or prayer. The intimacy of these areas suggests that faith was not only public, but profoundly personal. The people of Nazareth cultivated connection with the divine in quiet, deliberate ways, integrating spirituality into the rhythms of ordinary life. This insight reframes our understanding of sacredness. It is not always found in grand gestures or public acclaim, but in attentiveness, intentionality, and the humble practice of daily devotion. Transformation is also visible in the social structures revealed by the excavation. Streets, courtyards, and clustered homes facilitated close-knit relationships and mutual dependence. Life in Nazareth was relational, and the stability of these networks nurtured both personal growth and communal resilience. For modern viewers, this highlights the importance of intentional connection. Spiritual and emotional well-being flourish in community, and our relationships are not ancillary to life, they are foundational. Just as the village sustained itself through cooperation and care, we too find strength and purpose through engagement with those around us. The vision of Nazareth emerging from the earth beneath its streets extends beyond history. It is an invitation to see the sacred in our own environments. We are challenged to notice the lessons in our daily routines, the spiritual opportunities in small acts of service, and the transformative power of consistent devotion. Ordinary moments, preparing a meal, tending a child, offering comfort, or speaking words of encouragement, are imbued with potential to shape character and influence the world quietly but profoundly. The discoveries remind us that greatness often begins in unnoticed spaces, nurtured by ordinary lives lived faithfully. Moreover, the unfolding insights from Nazareth reveal a model of hope and resilience. Despite centuries of occupation, neglect, and the passage of time, the essence of the village endures beneath the soil, awaiting recognition. There is a metaphor here for the human spirit. Even when circumstances feel buried under hardship, obscurity, or struggle, the potential for renewal, clarity, and growth remains. Our efforts to cultivate virtue, wisdom, and faith may seem slow or invisible, but they are like the artifacts beneath Nazareth, quietly preserving a legacy that can emerge in full impact over time. The vision is also one of continuity, linking the lives of ancient villagers with our own. In their routines, struggles, and devotion, we recognize universal human experiences. In their humility, we find a mirror for our aspirations. In their persistence, we discover encouragement for our own journeys. And in their faith, embedded in everyday acts rather than in grandiose statements, we see a model for sustaining hope in turbulent times. The earth beneath Nazareth has revealed not just history, but a living metaphor, that ordinary devotion, careful stewardship, and relational care shape both destiny and legacy. As the layers of Nazareth are revealed, we are called to carry this vision forward. The lessons of patience, humility, perseverance, and attentiveness resonate across time, urging us to reconsider how we live and relate to the world. We are reminded that our choices, our daily actions, and our faithfulness are instruments of transformation, capable of shaping not only our lives, but the lives of those around us. And if this vision of ordinary yet extraordinary life speaks to you, share it with someone who might need encouragement, so the insight discovered beneath Nazareth continues to echo in hearts today. In the quiet streets, hidden chambers, and enduring artifacts, Nazareth whispers a truth. Transformation is possible, not in a single grand act, but in persistent, faithful living. As we emerge from the layers of earth into understanding, we see that the ordinary world, lived with devotion and care, is sacred ground, and in embracing that, we are invited to live lives of purpose, resilience, and enduring faith. As the final layer of soil is gently brushed away in Nazareth, a deeper understanding emerges, not only of the village itself, but of the timeless truths it embodies. Beneath centuries of dust and silence, we have uncovered more than stone foundations and pottery shards. We have uncovered a story of ordinary people living faithful, resilient lives whose daily acts of devotion and community resonate across the centuries. The earth has spoken, and it reminds us that the sacred often resides in simplicity, humility, and perseverance. The hidden chambers, the well-trodden alleys, and the modest homes together form a mosaic of life that is at once unremarkable and extraordinary. Here was a community that balanced practical needs with spiritual awareness, that cultivated connection with neighbors, and that nurtured hope despite the limitations imposed by time and circumstance. The boy who would become Jesus grew within this tapestry of ordinary devotion and quiet resilience. Every stone of Nazareth, every trace of daily life, contributes to the vision of a world where the extraordinary can rise from the ordinary, and where enduring faith is forged not in spectacle, but in persistent care and attention to life's smallest details. Reflecting on these discoveries, we are invited to examine our own lives with fresh eyes. How do we recognize the sacred in what we often overlook? How do we honor the ordinary routines, the small gestures of kindness and the quiet decisions that shape our character and influence those around us. The excavation beneath Nazareth is more than a historical pursuit. It is a mirror, calling us to live intentionally, to invest in relationships, and to nurture our faith through consistent, humble acts. These insights challenge us to see potential where we may have once seen only routine, and to find meaning in spaces we have long taken for granted. The artifacts, inscriptions, and hidden chambers also remind us of the value of persistence and patience. Every discovery took painstaking effort, careful observation, and time. Archaeologists, like the villagers they study, understood that enduring results come from slow, deliberate work, not from haste or spectacle. Similarly, our own journeys, spiritual, emotional, and personal, require dedication and courage. The hidden aspects of our lives, the challenges we face, and the unseen acts of faith all contribute to a greater legacy. Even when progress seems invisible, every step forward shapes the future in ways we may not immediately perceive. Nazareth teaches that resilience and faith are cultivated in ordinary spaces, in community, and in the rhythm of daily life. The lessons of the village encourage us to embrace humility, to value relational connection, and to see our lives as part of a larger, unfolding narrative. The discoveries beneath Nazareth show that legacy is rarely built in grandeur, but in persistence, care, and devotion, qualities accessible to anyone in any time. They remind us that even the smallest actions, lived faithfully, have the power to shape history, influence others, and leave enduring marks upon the world. As we close this journey through Nazareth, the final insight emerges. Sacred truths often reside beneath the surface. They are revealed not through spectacle, but through patient exploration, thoughtful reflection, and attentive living. Just as the archaeologists uncovered hidden chambers and quiet homes, we too are called to uncover the hidden potential within our own lives. Each act of kindness, each moment of reflection, and each effort to build, teach, or nurture echoes beyond the immediate, shaping both our character and the world we inhabit. The story beneath Nazareth also carries a sacred invitation to see the extraordinary within the ordinary, to honor persistence over perfection, and to embrace faithfulness in the small daily acts of life. In doing so, we connect with a lineage of humanity that values resilience, devotion, and care, and we continue the legacy of those who lived, loved, and believed in a small village that would forever shape history. As you reflect on this journey, consider what hidden layers of potential, faith, and purpose lie beneath the surface of your own life. What quiet acts of devotion or courage might shape the world around you in ways you cannot yet see? And if this reflection has stirred something within you, share it, comment, or pass it on. Be a voice that helps others uncover their own hidden layers, just as Nazareth's earth has revealed its timeless truths to us. In the end, Nazareth whispers across time, the sacred is found in simplicity, resilience, and faithful living. Every stone, every hidden chamber, every trace of daily life tells a story of ordinary people whose lives became extraordinary in their enduring influence. And so, the legacy of Nazareth continues, not just beneath the ground, but within hearts and lives willing to embrace the quiet, persistent, and sacred path of devotion and purpose.